Well, it's raining outside in Minnesota, which is perhaps a reflection of my thoughts because I read another Discworld book and I didn't like it. So I read the second book in the Death trilogy, or Death series, I guess, but I think the first three are supposed to be sort of a loose trilogy, just like all Discworld series are kind of loose connections of Terry Pratchett's Discworld. This one is called Reaper Man. I read Mort a couple weeks ago and loved it. It was both great writing, hilarious, I laughed out loud, and had that like dry British sensibility and intelligence and wit, but also had this emotional resonance that was quite arresting for me. It was like this perfect combination, this perfect cocktail of humor and drama and theme and joy. And so I was immediately like, Discworld is going to be one of my new things. I'm going to read so many Discworlds this summer and throughout my life. And I'm just going to always have sort of a Discworld on the rotation till I really caught up and have a lot of these under my belt. And immediately this second one has me slowing down. It's which is sad. I'm not going to, Discworld is so big out there. I know that there are other good books, and I've already been looking for people who recommend other places to go that isn't a Death series. I do have Soul Music, which is the third one in the Death series. I'm going to read this before I get to any of the other ones. I'm going to wait a little while to kind of cool on my thoughts on this, but don't worry, I will do a Discworld. It's just like I'm not quite as maybe ambitious or energized as I was a couple weeks ago when I finished Mort. But let's talk about Reaper Man and why I felt like this did not work. Just like in the first Death book, Mort, this book is really divided into two separate storylines. One is Death, again, sort of struggling with being Death, which is such a fascinating idea and something that Discworld allows you to get at, the sort of surreal nature of the whole world. And then you're following a group of professors at the university at Angport. Am I saying that right? Ankh-Morpork? I've never said that out loud. Ankh-Morpork. Am I saying that right? Someone tell me in the comments. I'll probably go watch someone's video on Discworld to see how to say that correctly. One of these stories really worked for me, and one really dragged for me in quite heavy ways. The Death storyline, as you can probably guess, really worked for me. I thought it was quite fascinating, him trying to like just be a farmhand and learn what it's like to be a regular person and what it would mean to actually live with death a possibility and always sort of hanging over you as something that is going to happen to you. Great writing and very funny. Unfortunately, at least it seemed, whether this is true or not, I don't know, I haven't gone back and like checked word counts, but it seems like that is a much shorter story than the professor story, where there's something mysterious happening in the city of Ankh-Morpork. I'm just going to try to stay away from saying that until I know how to say it. Something's happening weird in the city because Death is not collecting the souls like he normally does. So there's this weird energy and it's causing odd things to happen in the city. Honestly, that storyline just like doesn't work for me. It becomes quite stale very quickly. I wasn't drawn to any of the characters of like the head of the university and the bursar, the librarian, all of that, with the exception of Wendell Poons, who I think unfortunately takes a back seat in much of the latter half of that storyline, but is so arresting, and his story about being a person who has also died but hasn't died is just great. So like, that gives me hope for the rest of the series, that I enjoyed Wendell's or Poons's storyline, and I really liked Death. It's just that the university storyline, I think, shows some of the weaknesses of what Discworld can be. I talked about the strengths, especially with Mort, and how it's this perfect cocktail of both comedy and drama and theme. This, I think, shows what happens when the cocktail goes wrong, when some of the measurements are off, because the absurdity and the silliness and sort of logic of that storyline really took it out of me. I didn't want to read it. I didn't find it interesting. I didn't feel like there was stakes. I didn't feel like it was drawing me anywhere that I wanted to go. And I really just was like, let's get back to the Death story. Like, honestly, sometimes I was tempted to just skip through university stuff and be like, I'll probably catch on what they're doing. Let's go back to the Death stuff. And that never got better. Even the conclusion of the university professors just like did not work for me. The conclusion of Wendell worked for me, but it was really brief. And I just wanted to get back to the Death storyline, which also has an excellent ending. So this is not going to be like the bottom of the ladder. I'm not going to say this was like a not finish or a DNF or like I hate this. I just think this is really subpar, certainly compared to Mort. Probably this is going to be a if you like X. If you like Discworld, I think there are some things in here that are really worth it. Again, especially the Death storyline. I might almost just tell you to just read the Death parts and in between be like, yeah, weird stuff's happening in the world because he's not performing his duties as normal, but that's not super interesting. Just go to the Death part. And I think this would be a really good like short story or novella. But as a full novel of Discworld, this is certainly at my bottom. There's only 2 currently, so that's not saying a bunch. I was disappointed in this. So let me know, especially I assume a lot of people who clicked on this review are Discworld people. Tell me if you feel the same way about Reaper Man, and also where would you recommend me to go after I finish Death? So I'm going to be reading, like I said, Soul Music, but then after that, I want to go different places. Some people say Guards. Some people go with the Witches. I'm really up for whatever people might recommend. I want to hear from you. Did you guys see me get scared right there? Whew!
Recommend. I want to hear from you.
It's just the windowsill fell unexpectedly, but in a scary way. Second book in the Discworld series is down, and I'm slowing down, but still interested to continue on. First in, last out.